Gerrit Cole has a $324 million contract, and yet here's why the Yankees ace still drive his 2006 Toyota Tacoma, otherwise known as the Taco. So let's get right into this story. So Gerrit Cole may have a $324 million contract and a taste for fine wine, but the New York Yankees ace still drives a 16-year-old car. Whenever the Bronx Bombers are in the Los Angeles area, Cole gets around in a 2006 Toyota Tacoma that he's had since he was in high school, according to NJ.com. The white pickup truck, which has 82,000 miles on it, holds a special place in the 30-year-old's heart. It's the car I drove to everything in high school, Cole told NJ.com. It's funny. I get in there and I think about all the youth baseball things I grew up going to in that truck. The truck was a gift from his father and has been with him through both high school and his college years at UCLA. Cole even took it to spring training in Arizona when he was first drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2011. Cole, a four-time All-Star who earns $36 million a year, says the main reason he still uses the car, which retailed for between $15,000 and $25,000 when it was released, is pretty straightforward. It still works. This is like a very lovely statement, right? It still works. And like, here's the thing that I see a lot of people get into the trouble with is that they always want to continuously upgrade, even if the thing that they're using is perfectly fine. Let's use the example as like an iPhone, right? Almost the majority of like Apple's customers tend to just upgrade their phone every year, even though the model that they have is perfectly fine and nothing's wrong with it, right? It could have no cracks. It could probably have no scratches. It could operate extremely fine. Camera works perfectly better. And yet, regardless of income, so many of these fans of Apple end up just automatically upgrading every single year to the brand new iPhone, spending over $1,000 plus on a brand new iPhone for the top tier model because they just got to have a brand new Apple iPhone. I was like, oh, you got an old model? What are you? Are you poor or something? And like that's like kind of like the thing that like people get into. Like, it's almost like a social status, social symbol kind of situation, and it's something that a lot of people end up struggling with. And they might not even realize it. And you've probably seen people like this who are like, why are you spending this amount of money for basically the exact same phone with just like one little thing changed on it? And it doesn't even have to be a phone. It could be something else. It could be like a t-shirt. It could be a hat. It could be clothes. It could be, a brand new car. It could be a brand new lease every single year, brand new lease, right? Like, this works for basically any sort of product or anything, right? Like, if something works and you're perfectly fine with it, like, it gets the job done, and upgrading it isn't really going to change your life, but it's actually, in fact, going to make it worse for you financially, like, why are you going to go and do that? So, it's super reliable, he said. This isn't a Toyota commercial, but, man, I really haven't had any issues with it. I'm not here a whole lot, so when we go to the beach and when we lug around Christmas presents or things like that, it comes in handy. That's not to say Cole hasn't splurged on any upgrades, though. The 2021 Cy Young Award favorite replaced the car's old CD player with a Pioneer sound system that has Apple CarPlay, according to the report. So selling the car would only net Cole a little over $7,800, according to vehicle valuation company Kelley Blue Book, about the same amount that Cole earns in less than 2 hours on average. So a 2021 Toyota Tacoma, meanwhile, has a manufacturer's suggested retail price starting at $26,400. Now, the interesting thing, because of this crazy like car market right now, because of the chip shortage, starting price for a Toyota Tacoma truly might be more like $30,000, and the car that he actually has in his possession might actually be worth more than $10,000 just because of the crazy shortage that is going on. And that's basically the whole article. But again, this is something that you could learn, like no matter what your income is. Like this is something that you could actually use in your own life and be like, okay, just because I might make more money doesn't mean I necessarily need to upgrade. Like I don't have to upgrade to the better product or the better item just because I can, right? Now it's nice to know that you can. It's nice that you have the possibility of doing that literally at any given second, being able to upgrade whatever you have. But sometimes you gotta really ask yourself, what makes you more happy in your life, right? Like, does a brand new truck, is that going to make you happier? Is like a brand new watch going to make you happier? Is a brand new pair of jeans going to make you happier? Is a brand new iPhone that you're going to get every single brand new version of it every single year, is that going to make you happier? Like, what does that new phone do for you that you weren't already doing with the previous phone? Right? And that's the way to really look at it, because a lot of people get stuck in this like ever lasting continuous upgrade like mindset, which, you know, technically speaking is fine if you want to go and do that, but there's always going to be consequences to doing something like that, meaning you're going to always be spending more money than probably that you even have. Right? Two, even if you do have the money to spend on those items, guess what? You have these other items for what purpose now? Are you going to give those previous items away? Are you going to sell them? Or are you just going to like toss them in the trash or something? Right? Or are you just going to collect up trash at your house? Like, you're going to end up starting to become more and more like a hoarder by collecting all these different items. Like, if you've never seen the show Hoarders, this is kind of the mindset that I'm talking about, where like people always want to get brand new stuff or more and more items, but what does that actually really do for you? Like, what does any of this actually do for you? How does it actually help you? Right? And the way that I view it is like, you should try to view like upgrades or buying things like this in a more selfish way, right? Like, okay, let's say that I want to upgrade a phone. Well, how is it going to help me by upgrading this phone? And which model should I get? How much should I spend for an upgrade on a phone? For what purpose, right? Like, should I spend like $200 for a brand new phone to just do phone calls and text messages? Or should I spend $1,000 for a brand new phone for just phone calls or text messages, right? That's something that you got to really ask yourself, right? Like, what are you using the item for? And does it even make sense to spend that amount of money? But then even on top of that, if you just want to spend money because you have the money available to you, that is not going to negatively affect you in any way, shape, or form, you have the freedom to go and do that. And what I mean by this is like, let's say that you are debt free, you have money in the emergency fund, and you have money in investments, right? And you basically don't owe anyone anything at all, period. End of story, right? Meaning you could pretty much spend a decent amount of money on basically a very useless item. Or let's put it this way. Let's say that you have like $10,000 that you could literally just light on fire and toss into a trash can and literally not care about those $10,000 because it literally has no impact on your life at all. If you're at that point, you can go and just upgrade your truck if you really want to upgrade it, or buy a brand new item if you really want to do that, because you just want to do that. There's nothing wrong with that, because you're at that financial position to go and do something like that where there is no negative impact on your life. And that's the thing that you got to aim for. You want to aim to get yourself into a position that you can go and make those choices without being negatively affected by those choices. So I really like how he goes and does this. But again, there's nothing wrong with him if he were to just spend like $100,000 on a bloody brand new truck. He could literally go and do that, right? But I like his mindset of basically, well, why would I go buy a brand new truck if I have a perfectly good working truck right here that I like to drive, right? So that's something that I really like how he's going about it and doing it. And also it's like you could tell that this is also more like a memento kind of thing from his dad, because like, look, if your dad basically, gave you a car or truck or whatever, you're gonna have a more of a connection to that than like just some like random truck on the lot at a dealership, right? So obviously there's more of like an emotional situation for him specifically for this truck. But even if there wasn't, if he still liked driving the truck and he didn't see like a point in upgrading the truck, even though he had a crazy amount of surplus to be able to do that, there's nothing wrong with just not doing that, right? Just like there's nothing wrong with actually upgrading it if he's in a position that he could just go and do that without caring, right? Without it actually affecting him, which is the main thing. Because here's the thing. You could compare him to probably a lot of other professional athletes, right? There's a lot of professional athletes that make, $2 million their first year, but guess what? They spend all of their money in that first year, meaning they're going into debt, hoping that they get signed for another contract so that they could actually pay their bills because they're living paycheck to paycheck, even though they're making millions of dollars every single year, right? Whereas if they had the same mentality as he does with this truck, you could have a lot of these professional athletes or even doctors, lawyers, or just people who are making good money being able to live a very, very nice life with a lot of money coming in without really worrying too much about it. But again, this is a problem that everyone faces regardless of their income. You could be making $20,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year or more and still be facing issues like this. But if you have the same type of mentality as Gerrit Cole, you could live a much more stress-free life and a little bit more of a free life. So if you want to learn how to get out of debt so that you have the freedom, the financial freedom to go and upgrade your vehicle if you really wanted to without it actually having any impact on yourself, go check out 40bucks.com to learn the secret to getting out of debt. And we'll see you in future episodes. Feel free to give your thoughts as to if you would upgrade your truck or not. And let's say that if you did have, or if you were making $36 million a year, what would you like spend your money on or invest your money on if you're making $36 million a year?